Welcome to the Comic Binge. I am your host, Paul Herman. I think my mic Give me 1 second. Fix this. My mic does not like to do this to me all the time. Oh, it's because it's working fine. Anyway, all right. Welcome to the Comic Binge. I'm your host, Paul Herman. Today, we're going to be talking about Christmas presents for people. Maybe for yourself. I don't know. But either way, we're going to have lots of fun talking about Christmas presents and all the good jazz that comes with it. So I'm excited. You're excited. Everyone's excited. Let's talk about Christmas presents. And if you haven't already, everyone, I really appreciate that. Hate begging for it, but it's what happens. But go subscribe too. I really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. Do all that stuff because that's what the Comic Binge needs to grow the channel and grow comic books. Y'all, comic books. So I'll bring our panelists on, or panelists. I should say my co-host. Co-host. Reverend Chris Clow. Hello, Reverend. How are we doing today?
Hello. Fine, I suppose. How are you?
Wow, that was the most unenergetic hello of all time.
I'm going to be 36 in less than 2 weeks.
I'm going to be 36 years old. Ooh. I'm 41. Get over it.
You made it you made it that far. That's great. I don't feel like, what is 36? At least 41 sounds more distinguished and accomplished. The hell is 36?
41 is not more distinguished or accomplished. I'm going to tell you that right now. You've done way more in your life than I ever have. So
you're a homo. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. We're getting off the topic here. Anyway, Chris, Reverend, as always, love you. I'm glad you're here. I mean, you have to be here. I'll make you be here. If you're not, I'd get mad at you.
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. Force you against your will.
No, I like you.
And last but not least, El Corazon himself, Javi Trujillo.
Hey.
Javi?
I'm just kind of stunned right now that I'm like a decade older than Chris. I don't know.
You, again, distinguished and accomplished. Right?
I don't know about that, man.
And accomplished.
I don't know.
I understand.
I don't have the homeowner, thing like Paul's got going on, so I feel very unestablished.
All I gotta say is I fell into it. Like we fell into it, and we just So that's all I gotta say.
Don't fail to give yourselves proper credit for that.
No, I refuse. So anyway, today, if you're wondering, yes, we're gonna be talking about Christmas presents, ideas, gifts, and the thing is, this is not just for Christmas, y'all. This is for any gift idea of any time. We want to be a nice friend. Give your loved one or whatever. These are comic book items or things related to comic books that you could give someone that they're going to appreciate or love you even more because you know what's up. Because if there's one thing I know in being a comic book fan, whether I love independent comics, mainstream comics, whatever, is that people who know and understand what you're doing in the medium, it's another level. When that happens, right? It's a whole nother level. So I just want to say you came to the right place. So I'm just gonna get it started. We're no hemming and hawing. We're going right into the big stuff. Right, big stuff. So I'm gonna give you all a challenge here, okay? And I'm gonna say, Chris, in Javi, what do you think is one of the most not appreciated, but what is one of the most overlooked things about comic book collecting? Like you kind of go, oh crap, you forget about, and when you do, you're like, oh, I have to do this.
I think you have to put a lot of energy into figuring out, first of all, what stories you want to try and find, but second of all, whether or not the companies have the foresight to keep that story in print. I feel like that's a constant stressor when you're trying to find a collected edition, because there's a fair amount of like really top shelf stories that are just completely ignored. So that means if you're really determined to get that story, you got to put legwork in to try and find an edition.
Right.
And, if you're lucky, it's in print. And if you're not so lucky, then it might be more of a hunt than you anticipate.
Okay. So
I would say trying to remember what you have. Do I have this book Have I seen this before? Do I have this edition? Did they rename it? If I'm back issue hunting, it's like, have I
back
seen
issues.
this cover because I own it? Or have I seen it just because I've thumbed through this so many times and I'm just remembering seeing it, but I don't actually have it in my collection? Which is why I started keeping like notes on my iPhone. Like, here is the Flash issues that I have. Here are the Batman issues that I need. That kind of thing, depending on what we're looking for. So
and
that would
so
be it for me.
Okay, so I want you all to realize you kind of went really, really crazy, but Javi's more in line with what I was going with. So here's my first recommended gift for people who love comic books, and then these are kind of in the same vein. So I'm going to pull you, Chris. First thing I'm going to say, one thing one comic fan is never going to be mad at you about is buying bags and boards. Probably the best gift you can give any comic book fan, especially if they buy single comic books. Am I right, people?
That is a decent stocking stuffer suggestion. Like, not gonna lie, I feel like at least a quarter of the time when I get my single issues, I'm like, oh, can I get like 5 bags and boards with that? And they're like, oh, we don't have any. Like, they may have them, but it might be in like the big 100 pack.
Yes.
The 2 shops that I frequent usually give you like the option to buy them individually for like a quarter.
Right.
So
that's what we did at the comics place.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, and I have one little tie-in gift with this, and I'll move on to one of you guys. But my first one would be, if you have people who who buy single issue comic books, you buy them bags and boards. It may be you think it could be like a boring gift. I can tell you right now, if one of my friends were like, "Hey, Merry Christmas, here's like 100 bags and boards," I'd be like, "God bless you."
Oh, tools of the trade are never a bad option. Whether you're talking bags and boards, especially if you're talking to a longtime collectors, getting the right size, because they might not need just currents, especially like Black Label books, right? You need mag bags and boards for those.
Yep.
But also storage, boxes, long boxes. My personal favorite, drawer boxes. So yeah, I mean, getting creative.
I didn't even think about long boxes, and and the cool thing is that every year I'll probably always, when we do these shows now, guys, I'll probably always do bags and boards and long boxes, because they are the gift that keeps on giving, in my opinion. So bags and boards, and also an underappreciated thing about bags and boards, and maybe if the comic book person may not have this, you can always ask, is name dividers. So all I gotta say, which, as you can tell, my wife got me these like 10 years ago. I still haven't put them to use. So just keep that into consideration.
Well, you gotta have everything in successive order too.
O or a 0?
It's an O, and then see OP.
How many O's? How many comics do you have that begin with O?
A few.
Out of curiosity,
I have Omega Flight, Omega the Unknown. I mean, there's a few. There's a few.
Omega Men.
Yeah. So anyway,
like, the Outsiders.
There you go. I knew there had to be something.
Come on, Javi.
I even have some Outsiders too, and I couldn't think of that. That's why I asked.
I've got the OMAC Project, Original Sin, Orville New Beginnings, and Orville Digressions. The Other Side, Owly Helping Hands. Those are just some of mine.
So anyway, that's my first thing. Tools of the trade, long boxes, bags and boards, dividers. Like, go for it.
What Pete said, yeah, I totally agree with that. I am in a zen state when I'm bagging and boarding.
All right, Mr. Javi, you're up next, my friend. Go.
So there's 2 choices that I have that I'm worried are going to be repeated by one of us, but I'm going to go with the big guy first, the big gun. Maybe it's not quite as big gun as one of the other ones, but Superman for All Seasons, the Absolute Edition. If you're getting ready for Superman, oh my God, Superman Legacy coming out 2025, right, Chris? this has been on James Gunn's like vision board. It's Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. It is gorgeous. Chris and I have been trying to guilt Paul into getting it. This doesn't do it justice.
One day.
This whole presentation, the texture on the outer thing, it's like a fabric feel. It's phenomenal. I wish this was a poster. I wish this was a canvas piece of art that I could get, because I would take down that Batman and put it that much. And Tim Sale isn't with us anymore, and
Unfortunately, yeah.
really put their heart and soul into making this something he would have been proud of. You've got black and white art, script pages, just is galore. Plus, I mean, it's 4 great issues of a classic, beautiful Superman story, just blown up in the absolute size. It's magnificent. I've got quite a few absolute editions, and this is one of my favorite ones, if not the favorite one. It's $100, so like it's not cheap. But I got mine at In Stock Trades for $50. I think it's probably like 58 or 60 right now.
In Stock is incredible.
So,
go on In Stock, people. They're great. They don't even pay me to say that.
My comic shop does like, I think 10% off all trades and anything. So if you have a shop like that, I mean, you can obviously go there. And it's not just Superman for all seasons 1 through 4. It's got a short story from Superman Batman Secret Files 2003, story from Solo #1, and some excerpts from Superman 226, Superman Batman 26, promotional art, a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it is the perfect gift for a Superman fan this season if you want to get something really, really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Chris, I love it. I guys, I do want to get it one day. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Chris, right. Clow, you're up, Reverend.
So I'm going to cheat a little bit and do 2, because one of mine was also the Superman for All Seasons Deluxe Edition. I echo everything that Javi said, but I am going to throw a potential companion on top of it. If you just can't get enough of Tim Sale on Superman, then you can find this for reasonably cheap right now. This is the Superman Kryptonite Deluxe Edition. Darwin Cook wrote it with Tim Sale on the artwork. It's kind of a spin on Superman's first encounter with Kryptonite. So it's an early years Superman story, similarly to the way that All Seasons played out. This was the first 6 issues of an ongoing called Superman Confidential. And they canceled it way faster than they canceled Batman Confidential. What a shock. But this is great. There's some really solid Tim Sale Superman artwork in here. There's really good interplay with the other cast of characters in Metropolis, and it's just more greatness. So
I'm gonna actually you, Chris.
Okay.
Because
wow.
It's the first 5 issues.
Oh, right.
Then
and
there was some
11,
filler,
right?
And then they finished like the 6th chapter, I think issue 11 or something.
Yeah, 1 through 5.
Actually, by Javi. That's wow.
Actually, it was 6 issues long, but yes, he is correct.
I know.
And that's why it's important to get it, because it's all collected in one edition. I've been thinking about getting rid of my individual issues and getting that deluxe, because I love deluxe editions.
Tim Sale's worth the wait too. So I was reading this month to month. Yeah, now that he said that, all my memories are flooding back about like, why isn't this here? And there was like a fill-in story with Phil Hester, and then 3 months after the final issue of this finally did come out, they canceled the book. So it was kind of a bummer, but a cool early years Superman story, written by the late great Darwin Cook, and now drawn, unfortunately, as well by the late great Tim Sale.
All right, so it is my turn, and great work, everyone. So we continue on the Superman train. Sorry. I'm gonna pick something that came out, 2 things that came out this year, and I'm raved about them. And that's going to be, obviously, I've raved about this on our shows. Superman Warworld Saga. It is finally here in beautiful one trade. I haven't sat down. There's a couple. I was missing a couple of issues from the regular trades that I had, and I gave them to our or gifted them to our buddy Dylan, who did the Blue Beal shows with us, who is on Emerald City Hockey podcast, which I love. Got to hang out with him and his mom actually, and had dinner. It was a great time. Dylan, if you're probably not watching this, but if you are, you're awesome, and he'll be on next month. Hopefully, I think I gotta talk to him about that. Anyway, this has a bunch of issues that we didn't read for our trades for the show, the Why We Love Superman show. But the crazy thing is, my only one criticism is that the future state episodes issues are in the back, and then they have no context like of what they're doing back there, and it's just like, it's weird, but I don't care, because as long as I have them, I'm happy. This is the best. This might be one of my favorite Superman stories of all time. It's definitely the best Superman story, I think, in the last like 20 years. In my
Do you
personal
think
opinion.
that your personal affinity for it might come a little bit from your personal affinity for Dune?
No, not even close. Because the reason why I like this is that I like the idea of Superman taking like a ragtag team, like the Authority, bringing him with him to like another planet to help him. I do like the Barbarian, like the whole, like it's a trope, but it's a cool trope. And the way Philip Kennedy Johnson takes the characterization of Superman and puts in juxtapose, I can't say the word, people. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. Juxtaposes the with Mongrel and Warworld and the ethics of Superman. It's really well done. To me, the reason why I love it, it's the character work of Superman more than anything, and fantastic art in the action scenes. Like, honestly, like, again, it's a Barbarian Superman kind of story, and that's fun. And I just love just how much Philip Kennedy Johnson gets this character. So, and to keep the Superman train rolling, as if you get someone this, which would be you'd be a real, they may go, Superman, what? Like, no, Holmes, this is the Superman you want to give them. This will make anyone a Superman fan. And if you want to be really rad, get them this as well, because this, you can follow this right up. It like fits. It's a perfect dovetail, and this is chef's kiss. I've been really impressed. This is my favorite Superman era, maybe ever. I don't know. I've been loving Superman.
Is that a hardcover?
It is.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is Superman Super Core. If you guys see that, Super Core, go check this out. Even if you didn't get him the Warworld Saga, this is a fantastic piece of comics that you will, if people are into Superman. Where do I start for Superman? Here you go. Jumping on point. Wham. There you go. No worries. This is a great time. This too. This is a great jumping on point. But if you want to get, like, if this is kind of expensive, this is like, it's going to set you back. I'm not going to lie. This is reasonable. So, sorry. If you want to be reasonable, this is a great jumping on point for Superman. The art is fantastic. The storytelling is fantastic. Super fun. Go check it out. I love it. Superman, it's killing it right now. Javi, it's your turn.
Well, I'm just going to echo what you said and just talk up Superman, the Warworld Saga, because, again, I got mine on In Stock Trades the second we found out it was
Same.
up.
We both did.
And to echo everything Paul said, but this is, I think, over 720 pages, collected in $60 retail. And I mean, if you guys have been listening to this channel for a while, like, we've done 3 episodes or 4? 3 episodes, right?
3. Yeah, 3
breaking down like this story. And like, for me, this was a no-brainer, because I read it issue by issue, then we prepped for the shows, and for me, I love it just because it is that good Superman story that you've seen a little bit of before, but not quite like this. And just the memories of being able to of talking about it with you guys on the show, like, I wanted to have it all just in one hand, that I could just grab it off my shelf and look at it whenever I want. So it's kind of got like a sentimental value to me too. But We went from like the high end of Superman books, and $60 is no joke, but
It isn't.
$60 is a great value for over 700 pages of comics, and good comics that are gonna, if you're not that familiar with Superman, you'll get a good idea of the character, but in a completely new context. So
Absolutely.
that's it for me on that one.
And Rob, what's up, man? Miss you, bro. I'm gonna get you on next month. I'm gonna hit you up for that show we talked about earlier. So if you're watching, miss you, man. Hope you're doing well. Hope surgery went well for you. All right. So Chris, you are next. Go ahead, my friend, and take it over.
So my favorite character in the Marvel Universe, as people who are familiar with this channel probably know, is Steve Rogers, Captain America. And one of my absolutely favorite Captain America runs, like I think a lot of current comic book fans, is Ed Brubaker's. They did a weird sort of collective pattern with Brubaker's run in terms of Marvel omnibus volumes. They did the first 25 issues in the first volume. Then they just like made a thin Death of Captain America omnibus. And then they did Captain America Lives that includes the Reborn miniseries and the issues leading up and immediately following Reborn. There were 2 other omnibus volumes that fell out of print that haven't been available for a while until now. First one I've got in my hands, The Trial of Captain America. This is where Bucky has to basically account for some of the things that happened to him while he was the Winter Soldier. And it takes place while he is bearing the mantle of Captain America. Since this is post Reborn, though, Steve Rogers is back, and you see the beginning of his time basically as the leading law enforcement officer aiming to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel Universe. These are the stories that began in what Marvel called the Heroic Age, so heroes getting back into first position after being basically in second position while Norman Osborn was in charge of what was S.H.I.E.L.D. He turned it into something called Hammer, and they never even said what the acronym stood for Hammer, at least not to my knowledge. But great set of stories. Trial of Captain America is effectively volume 5 of Brubaker's run, and then there is a 6th one that finishes it out called The Return of the Winter Soldier, where Bucky returns as the Winter Soldier. And solid set of stories, not as solid as the earlier parts of the run, but I think it goes out on a high note. And if you're a Captain America fan, it's kind of hard to get better than Brubaker, because even a bad Brubaker issue is still pretty good. Thank you, Pete.
All right. So I guess it's my turn. Well, excuse me. So moving on to me, I gotta keep this rolling. I gotta rep our boys here. People, huge guest of the show. I would say the biggest growth I attribute to this person of the show, and that is Mr. Alex Grand, who is AKA the comic book historian. Fantastic person in real life. Love that guy. Great sense of humor. I love having him on the show. And he always spits amazing knowledge. Always have a great time when he's on, and always get good responses when he's on. And again, I contribute his whole family to basically being like the growth of the binge. So, and this is not out of obligation by any means. This is out of pure, like, if people know, if I didn't love something as much, I would not talk about it. Chris knows this about me. I think Javi knows this about me by now. To me, if my silence is deafening, if let's just say that, leave it that way. My next thing I'm going to recommend people is not a comic book, which is a very faux pas thing for me to do on this. But if I'm going to do something like that, it's got to be comic book related, and it's going to be my homie's book, Understanding Superhero Comic Books by Alex Grand, aka the Comic Book Historian YouTube channel, and all the other social media platforms. I got to tell you, this to me, this is fantastic, and I know Alex well enough that he put his heart and soul into this thing, and this thing is like basically like you want to learn about comic books, just how it was run, the history, and not just like it's how the structure works and how the birth of the comic book, superhero comic books, that superhero comics are comic books, basically, right? They started the whole medium essentially, from at least from the single issue format. He chronicles all that from here, and just super informational. And Chris can attest, we had him on for the show. This is a fantastic book.
He goes back to what, the 16th century, and tracing the history of sequential art storytelling. I mean, he does his homework. It's a really impressive and comprehensive book on the history of not just superhero comics, because he goes back further than that too.
Yeah, dude, Alex is a G. Just leave it up there. And he is, I love the growth he's had on his Twitter. He's got a huge Facebook group. He's got like a bunch of more, he's got a bigger name people probably on Facebook that comment on that stuff more than anything. But either way, he keeps comic book storytelling alive. And like he is the most underappreciated person in like our little small world, in my opinion. You have always people like comic books, what those understanding, what's the comic historian, that idiot. And I'm sorry, I don't like him, and I don't like the other guy, Comics Explained. Like, those guys are huge, and Alex Grand like gives you like actual quality good crap like this. This is great stuff, and more people need to recognize this, because he's a great guy, one, and two, this is something that will be the gift that keeps on giving, because this is great. Yeah, go check it out, Eric. I'm telling you, man, you're not disappointed. This is information. I wish they would give this to in an audiobook. I told Alex, I'm like, Alex, get them to do an audiobook, because I'm an audiobook guy. But let me tell you, this is work. It's great work. If Chris attests for it, it's legit. So I'll shut the hell up. Javi, you're up.
I like Peter's comment about Black Cat, because not only has he been getting on Paul about Black Cat, so have I. I'm pretty sure Neil has said
I like Jed. Jed is great. Jed is good.
But Eric, to answer your earlier question in the chat, all my stuff is DC. I had a few Spidey picks, but we were trying to keep things narrow, so mine wound up all being DC, because they put out a lot of good stuff this year, including something I covered on Batman on Film that I reviewed. Gotham City Year One. I don't own this yet, so that's why I'm not showing it off. Because I'm waiting, because there's got to be a deluxe edition. It is a hardcover. It's $30 retail. I think it's like 21 on Amazon right now. Last episode, I talked about Tom King. We were talking about his Riddler. And sometimes Tom King feels to me like he's trying to be edgy. And there's definitely some shocking and edgy moments in this book, but it's so good. Like, I personally, I would put this right up there with Year One. Like, I think it, like,
wow,
like Batman Year One. I loved it so much. It's this, when we started off the story, like, Metropolis is the shithole, and Gotham is like the pristine, virtuous city, but there's this underbelly to everything, of class divide, racism, and we follow Slam Bradley. This is one of the variant covers, and one of the Waynes, not Thomas and Martha, but one of their Thomas's dad and his mom, one of their kids gets kidnapped, and Slam Bradley gets pulled into this web of deception. And it's basically the downfall of Gotham City and how it became a place that birthed the Batman. So we kind of have an older Slam telling the story to someone and how it pertains to their future. But Phil Hester, who's been working for at least 20 years in the books, so he brought back Oliver Queen and Green Arrow with Kevin Smith. That's what I primarily knew him from. And he's done tons of work, but he perfectly captures this film noir aesthetic. This is the back cover.
Wow.
It's a film noir comic book. It's just pure perfection. You get his sketchbook, and I can't rave enough about it. I think I gave every issue when I reviewed it an A, and it's just a solid read. One of Tom King's best things that he's done, in my opinion, and it doesn't get enough love or talked about enough. But man, if you want like a hard-boiled comic book that's just private detective and corruption, I mean, this is it, man, and it goes places. And then maybe you think it's going to go left and then it goes right, but then it really went left. It's marvelous, dude. You have to read it.
Damn. So it's funny. I ordered some stuff on InStock today, Javi, and I almost put this in my, but I was like, I gotta save some money because I got the Mando 4K is coming out next week. So I was like,
Yep.
I'm already gonna get in trouble for that. So I'm like, well, if I put, if this is gonna be I'll be pushing it with this. So I had to pick up a couple Star Wars items I needed to pick up for my for InStock trades, but that's been in my wish list for a while, and that's gonna be. Before you even said anything, it was Tom King. I'm a huge Tom King fan. I think he's a great writer. So I'm very much looking forward to going in and picking that up and reviewing on the show with us. That's definitely something we review next year. So
Yeah.
just keep that in mind. We will checking it out. So you're making me want to get this right today. So anyway, all right, Reverend, you're next. Hit us up.
Yeah. So I don't really hear a lot of people trying to find jumping on points for her, but back in 2007, I thought that Who is Wonder Woman was actually a really solid jumping on point for her post-Infinite Crisis. This is written by Alan Heinberg with art by Terry and Rachel Dodson.
Oh, we talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we still have some stuff to do post-Infinite Crisis, and this is one of them. So I think we are going to break this down on the binge at some point in the future, but
for sure,
this is a really, it's a 1 year later story. So the DC universe hasn't seen Diana in quite a long time since the end of Infinite Crisis. And of course, at the end of that story, she had been outed as the murderer of Maxwell Lord, and she had some damaged components of her reputation, but she spent a lot of time finding herself again in the things that she values. And this was a really solid start to the new volume of Wonder Woman that started after Infinite Crisis. After this, they actually had Jodi Picoult, the novelist, come aboard for a few issues of Wonder Woman. But then right after that, Gail Simone started her run on Wonder Woman, and that is one of my favorite stream of Wonder Woman stories. They just reprinted the omnibus of Gail Simone's Wonder Woman run, which I will also throw on the recommendation pile. Very solid, especially probably her key story in that run, Rise of the Olympian. Absolutely worth checking out. Gail Simone and Aaron Lopresti, but the Dodsons also did do a couple of early issues during Gail Simone's run, and highly recommended.
And the volume you're holding up is written by Alan Heinberg, who wrote the screenplay for the first Gal Gadot movie.
Yes.
Gadot movie.
Yeah. And he also wrote Young Avengers.
And this is a new deluxe edition that was published this year. So
I didn't know that, dude.
Yeah, back in April, I think. So yeah, very solid.
Dude, Heinberg he's a good one, man. He's a good one. I've always liked his stuff. All right, so I'm next, and I'd be remiss if I was going to bring up only one, but if Rob's watching this, he's going to want to throw things at me if I don't bring this up, in conjunction with it as well. But thinking about it now, I'm like, this is actually there's a perfect thing to talk about for GIF ideas, because we had a new Ninja Turtle movie that came out this year. It was fantastic. A fantastic movie. Go watch it. I haven't seen it. Can't wait till that comes out on 4K. I'll be picking that up. It was my daughter's first movie in the movie theater. Had a great time. Loved it. And I covered a bunch of turtle stuff, this year, and then also a year before. And I thought, turtles are, I have a new TV series coming out soon on the Paramount Plus channel with a new cartoon that ties into the movie. And it seems like turtles are kind of getting back up there in popularity. And I think it's good because I love the turtles, right? And obviously the Ninja Turtles are just knee deep in comic book, history. And what better way than I think, and I may have even done it last year, I don't remember, but either way, I have two things to add on this. First one is the OG, right? The Eastman and Laird, Ninja Turtle series. This is volume 1. And this is like somewhat recently reprinted. They had like the hardbacks for a while, IDW did, but this is the just a paperback, and it's not too expensive. It's like $25-$30. You probably can get it cheaper online, used maybe. But honestly, like, this is comic book I had this on as a comic book masterpiece. on our show, if you guys can check it out on the channel. But it really is a great gift. I think if you have people who are are starting to get into Ninja Turtles, and you want them to like get something that's unique or interesting, and they only have like the toys or like the movies a lot, but they haven't really gone in the movies or the comics as much, this is a great stepping point. There's like 5 volumes of this, but you can get them hooked on. These are great comics. These are really well done for, they're a little bit dated, obviously, but this is a masterpiece. So this is a great, kind of I think, foray into the history of the Ninja Turtles. And I think it's definitely for anyone who likes Ninja Turtles that haven't gone in the comic books, this is a great starting point, a good place to go to. But if you're looking if they just love Ninja Turtles and they want more, and this might be too dated for them, I would say this also, which I did a show on, the first IDW Ninja Turtles Volume 1. These were also hardback covers that, or versions, I should say, that came out, and they're out of print now, I think. And they're on volume 13, but now IDW is smartly with the movie starting to put these out, and they actually have 3 volumes 1 through 3 available. And these aren't too expensive. They're probably about the same price, about $25-$30. And these are super, super great. A great jumping on point for any Ninja Turtle fan, any comic fan. I love these comics. I love them. They are so good, and they are great. They embrace the medium because it's a great medium, but also that whole connected shared universe kind of thing. Lots of great things here. That a lot of threads that are put in one place, picked up on another place. You get them there. I read a lot of this already. It's fantastic. Go pick this up. These are cheap. Cheaper than usual than the normal books. A little bit smaller, as you can see, comparatively to the Superman book. It's you can see here, it's a little bit smaller, But anyway, go check this out. This is a great jumping on point. And I think if anyone who wants to get into Ninja Turtles or just have fun and surprise someone with something different, they'll like this a lot. This is a great, in my opinion. I love this stuff. So go pick it up. Javi, it's your turn.
All right, man. I am going to close out my segment with something that's probably not much of a shocker. And I lost the image. That's really cool. I was going to show the original one, and I somehow lost the image. That's awesome. So here is the variant direct market edition. It's The Flash by Mark Waid Omnibus Volume 1. Everybody please go buy this so they make a Volume 2. It's a bit of a big ask because it's $150. But it's Mark Waid's Flash 62 to 91, Flash Annuals 4 through 6, Green Lantern 30 through 31, 40, Flash Special number 1, and Justice League Quarterly number 10. So it's all stuff that Mark Waid had a hand in. That's what we got there. We got a nice little Wally insert on the inside. And then when you take off the slip cover, you've got a classic moment from issue 79. And it's a beast. And there's a reason why it's $150. But it is, if you can't get it at a discount, it is worth $150. This is some of my favorite comics of all time. It's the reason why I've got my YouTube channel up to speed with Wally West. It all comes from what Mark Waid did with the character and how he, along with the people before him, evolved Wally West from Kid Flash into Barry's sidekick trying to fill the role into a certified hero. And if you like the TV show, if you like the movie, there's a lot of stuff got the groundwork from these issues. Issue 91 was pretty much adapted into an episode of the Flash CW show. The whole concept of the Speed Force starts right here. So there is no Speed Force without this book. And without the Speed Force, I mean, there's even a comic right now called Speed Force. So that's my top recommendation for the year. And yeah, definitely should be on your Christmas list.
And hold it up for a second if you don't mind. I would want to say we reviewed this for or a part of this for our Flash coverage this last summer, which I love the movie. and we did a great. I thought we had a great show on that. Those issues that we did.
We did.
And that was the don't tell me the name of the story. It's Terminal Velocity, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Terminal Velocity, go check it out. It's on. We did it last summer. That was a fantastic. I love that show. That was a great show.
This actually ends before Terminal Velocity starts.
No,
so that's why you need to buy it so we can get that second omnibus. Yeah, because this one ends with issue 91, which is right when 0 Hours starts.
That's okay. That's right. Yeah, because Terminal Velocity starts with 0 Hour.
Right after the Zero issue.
Well, in Terminal Velocity trade that I have, the old one, Zero is the first one.
Is the first one?
Yeah, is the first issue. Yeah. So yeah, like and I read a bunch of the Flash before that too. It's definitely worth picking up, people. It's a hefty price, for
it's over 1,000 pages.
That's a lot. You can probably get a discount. You can probably find it cheaper than 150. It's probably around 100, I'd say, more than anything.
I mean, this was
depending on where you go.
I mean, I jumped on this the second it was on in stock trades, so that was my saving grace for being able to basically rebuy comics that I already have.
But which, by the way, we have given In Stock so much love today. I wish they just give us some love.
This image here, that is what the main cover looks like. So
that's beautiful.
The graphic that didn't pop up.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm with you. Humberto and Mike Wendigo. Was it Ringo? Sorry, I'm so bad. Wendigo is the Marvel character.
We're Ringo.
Yeah. No, the art on that is fantastic. 100%. Rob's on the money on that one. Rob's on the money.
Yes.
it is a doorstop. It is a door. Yep. Yeah. Eric, we're all saying it. Yeah. We're all saying it. Reverend, you got a few things left. You said don't go crazy on us, but yeah, go ahead, do your thing. You're muted.
Mute first.
Of course.
Jeez.
Anyway, this was relatively collected relatively recently in omnibus form, and I know I had a hell of a lot of doubts going into it, but the actual material ended up blowing my socks off. Superior Spider-Man, the first omnibus volume. This is the direct market variant by Joe Quesada. Most of the artwork in here, I think it trades off between is it Humberto Ramos, Ryan Stegman, and Giuseppe Camuncoli, mostly between the three of those guys. But Otto Octavius is basically taken over the brain of Peter Parker and is in his body, but he's also assumed some of his feelings of responsibility. And they set everything up in here pretty well. It begins with Amazing 700, so you actually see why he even cares about being a hero and why he is resolved to become a superior Spider-Man. I'll run through the last two relatively quickly here.
I think the only thing is Spider-Man's he starts taking over.
Yeah.
Wow.
Separate commentary. They reprinted this relatively recently too. This is the deluxe edition of Superman Unchained. Jim Lee artwork written by Scott Snyder. Beautiful book. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't give it the absolute treatment, although that doesn't preclude them from doing that later, because Jim Lee's artwork on Superman, even if it's a design that was only temporary in the character's history, there's quite a pedigree there, and the story is pretty imaginative. They put the first issue of this out in conjunction with the theatrical release of Man of Steel. So, they did try to give Superman a pretty big platform in the summer of 2013. But it's a fun story. I had fun with it, and the artwork, like I said, is beautiful.
Does it keep the gatefold, Chris, from issue 1?
I think it does. Let me try to find it real fast here. Oh, it doesn't actually fold out.
Oh, bummer.
But the image is all there, but
yeah,
they letterboxed it. So, maybe an absolute edition at some point they will preserve the actual gatefold. And then my final pick, I know Paul will appreciate this, but I was looking for a good solid volume of Batman material pre Grant Morrison, and they gave me a big boy. The entirety of the story was originally called Under the Hood, but they adapted the title of the movie for this collected edition, Under the Red Hood. It's a nice thick trade, borders on an omnibus, but isn't quite there yet.
Beautiful.
Man, I need to get that.
Same.
635 to 641 and 645 to 650, as well as Batman Annual 25, Red Hood: The Lost Days, number 1 through 6, and then selected portions of Batman 617 to 618 when they first implanted the idea that Jason Todd was still alive in Hush. Even though that specific instance didn't quite work out that way, but very solid volume, both literally and figuratively, and absolutely worth checking out, especially if you've never read these stories before. I would say it's probably a good idea to read these before you might watch the movie, even though the movie is a really effective adaptation. It's always good to have full context ahead of time. And it played with some of the ideas that I think Jeff Johns would play with a lot in Blackest Night regarding the nature of death in the DC universe. Batman is starting to put some pieces together regarding the permanence of death or lack thereof. And Johns kind of takes that a whole step further over in Green Lantern. But that's more of like a DCU-wide thematic thing overall, just in terms of a solid Batman story where he's literally confronted with his greatest failure. In being unable to save Jason. Hard to get better than this. Judd Winnick,
Chris,
great Batman dialogue writer.
Oh yeah, Chris, hold that up for me real quick if you don't mind. Just really quick. I just want to say this is on my Christmas list, y'all. Like this is. I actually sent this to my wife. I haven't put too many comics on my Christmas list because I saved all my 4K desires for Christmas. But this was the one comic I'm like, okay, I need this. Oh God,
dude!
Damn!
Inside the dust jacket too, it has the part of the awesome second printing cover to Batman Annual number 25. Peeling away. Yeah, it's a really solid collection. And if you have those Grant Morrison Batman omnibus volumes, then this slots in right before those, and you've got a pretty solid set of Batman stories from the mid 2000s to 2013, all contained there. You have those alongside another book that I think I recommended it last year, but I'll recommend it every year, is the Batman by Paul. Another great set of stories by the master.
That's awesome, man. We could go on for hours.
We could
gift ideas.
Yeah,
we really could. But what I love what we did here was I think we gave everyone who are, because I do think, because regardless of, again, if you celebrate Christmas or you celebrate any kind of holiday of gifts, these are all, we gave you a great, even like jumping on points, whether it be new readers of longtime comic book readers or new comic book readers. I think these are all valid things, at least the comics we recommended, or the tools like me, I recommended at the very beginning, or like Alex's book, everything. We gave people a great, yes, I love Red Hood. It's one of my favorite Batman stories. I thought those are, I agree, Adam. I thought last year we did a good job of recommending different things. I think I might even recommended the Ninja Turtles again, but animated feature is amazing. I actually do love the animated movie as well. But no, these are, if you go in and you just fast forward, whatever, but go in, look at these gifts, these gift ideas. It's hilarious that Superman dominated this year, which I'm not surprised, but I mean, it's pretty cool that he did.
It is his 85th anniversary.
For good reason. And this is not like a obligatory, like we gotta, these are legitimate. We love Superman and comic books, so we're recommending. Like it's great. So anyway, so this has been awesome. And I guess we'll plug next week's episode, which is the Knights Never Die returns. Right?
Yes, it does. Part 3 of Batman and Son, Batman number 657, where there is a little bit of a conflict between the current and the once and future Robins. And we are going to be joined for that episode of Knights Never Die by Mr. Paul Herman.
Yay!
Yeah, I'm back, baby. I'm back. Yeah, so I
got
gotta
to catch
catch up.
on 655 and 656. Oh no, Paul, you've
Yeah.
got to read 2 comics before you read a third one.
Yeah, it's asking a lot. I don't know what I'm gonna do at work tomorrow. I'm gonna be so overwhelmed. So no, it's gonna be a lot of fun because we're gonna be doing Knights Never Die next week. Word, yeah, word, yeah. Well,
Like they were
that-
so
that's-
close.
yeah, I want to say Winter Soldier was technically first, if I'm not mistaken. But Chris, you might be better at that than me. So
on yeah, Winter Soldier, they've laid the groundwork for it. 04.
I mean, are we counting Hush as groundwork for Red Hood though? Which I think predates Winter
Yeah.
Soldier.
Oh yeah, by a few years. Let me.
But then
double
they
check.
were like Cap and Batman were kind of running tandem because you had the whole death of Captain America almost the same time as RIP.
So Captain America #1 from Volume 5 was published on November 17th, 2004, and Batman Volume 1 number 635 was published on. Give me a second. December 29th, 2004. So they were like less than a month apart. I guess technically Cap came first. They didn't do a lot of allusions to the Winter Soldier in that first issue, but I mean, it was in the hopper by.
it was already in. Yeah.
So,
Well, maybe you're. I don't know. We'll see. Either way, it's funny and they both work really well for the I
for
think they
very
both
different
age really
reasons
well.
too. Like they emphasize the cores of the characters in their own unique ways. And
Right.
even though the broad strokes of like Cap's death and Ultimate Return were kind of similar to Bruce Wayne's, the execution is totally different. You're talking Grant Morrison, more high-minded concept kind of writer versus Ed Brubaker, who's generally stronger with more earth-level, grim and gritty stuff. And that was Reborn was actually kind of a departure from what he normally did. So
right.
Concepts are similar, execution's very different.
Yeah. So for those who don't want to know, we'll be doing Knights Never Die next week, and then a week after that, we'll be doing Death of a Prince, Aquaman, tie in the movie The Lost Kingdom. Then the week after that will be Christmas. We'll figure out how we're gonna do that, but we're gonna be doing a review of Aquaman Lost City. So comic books at the movies returns, and then next month we have some planning to do, but we got a pretty crazy month already ahead of us. So a lot of great stuff. Again, everyone, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Hit the like button, all that jazz.
Something else
yes,
too,
please.
potentially.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
starting to have some conversations with Ryan Haas about maybe breaking down whether or not it's a good idea for people to pay attention to the ports of the Arkham games on the Nintendo Switch that just came out. So,
You
stay
had me at
tuned.
Ryan Haas.
Of course.
Of course. I miss Ryan. Ryan, he's busy,
Sheriff.
he's doing his thing. Haas is doing his thing on but like every time he
I don't
shows up,
blame
I'm like, hey, I love that guy. I miss
Yeah.
Ryan Haas. You're not listening to this, but I love you. Just make sure, I'm
Either
sure
way,
you know that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be taking a look at the ports of those games, and maybe we'll be able to do some
Thank you, Eric.
comics on consoles stuff on the Comic Binge channel. So stay tuned.
And yeah, if it's comic book related, I let Chris do it because I love Chris. Otherwise,
I
there's somebody else
recently re-listened to Chris's guest appearance on Haas hosted a Batman on Film episode with Garrett and Ryan Lauer, spelled like lower, on the whole Arkham saga. It's 4 years ago, I think it dropped, and that was just 2.5 hours of just like fascinating knowledge drops and breakdown of the games and how they worked and the hype leading up to it. And I listened to it when it came out, but re-listened to it again this week, and it was a great listen. So thank you for reminding me about it, Chris.
Well, thank you, man. No, I appreciate it. No, I mean, the
No.
Arkham games are my favorite video games, and Batman his games is my favorite non-comics version of Batman. Beyond anything you've seen in a movie or an animated series, Arkham Batman is top of the list for me, right under DC Universe Batman. So,
well, with that, Chris, why don't you promote yourself, what you can find you, and all that good jazz, Reverend?
Sure, via social media at Chris Clow, CHRISCLOW. Also, if you are inclined and if you're curious about some of those perspectives on the Arkham games, I did just post all of the reviews of the main games to my website, bychriscloud.com. There's a whole review archive there of video games and movies and some comics that I've reviewed. I need to get more comics reviews on there from my archive, but definitely check those out. One score that I gave to an Arkham review I never gave before, and I have never given since. A perfect score. And
wow.
It's the only critical review I've ever written for anything that has ever gotten a perfect score. Javi knows what it is. But I stand by it, too.
I think it's well earned.
Thank
I'm
you.
in agreement. Yeah.
All right. Well, El Corazon, where can people find you on your wonderful content?
All over the interwebs.
Yes.
The JamesBondDossier.com has my latest review for 007 for King and Country #5. Also, a breakdown of the first episode of the Amazon Prime reality show 007 Road to a Million, which was definitely interesting. Not a movie, but I mean, it got me jazzed just for the world of Bond again. And of course, BatmanOnFilm.com, where I've got reviews for Catwoman and Batman the Brave and the Bold, even though it's half Batman, Batman and Robin, Superman 78, #2, the Metal something. I forget what it is, but it just came out this week. The review dropped today. Batman animation, I've got... we broke down, Patrick Johnson and I, Batman Year One and the New Adventures of Batman episode, Holiday Nights. And of course, Up to Speed with Wally West, my YouTube channel. And then, as we just heard, next week, back with Knights Never Die with the Reverend Chris Clow. So I'm excited to reread some Morrison again.
Let's be real, Javi. You've been back every week, which we
love.
Lot,
yeah.
And I
appreciate you guys having me.
I'm just gonna keep asking and keep making you come on. So until it's built in. It's just built in.
Thank you, brother.
So of course, my friend. All right. You can also find me Herman22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug, on the X, formerly Twitter. Follow Comic Binge on Instagram. Obviously subscribe here as well. Twitter, all that stuff. Go check it out there, and go check out the old episodes. They're great, and appreciate everyone who already has. And Chris, why don't you take us out, my friend?
Read more